Put on this computer. Okay, so let me go back then. So the steps that I went through to value myself and change from, my friend said I look kind of slumped and beat down or whatever, to standing confident and being happy and having a glow about me. So the first one was realizing that I had a choice, that I could create something different, that it was okay with God for me to create something different. I remember working with, I worked with Rhonda Hess. She's an energy worker, Simply Healed energy worker through this. She's going to be in our class, by the way. You'll love Rhonda. So Rhonda, I remember one time her zoning in on the fact that I could create the marriage that I wanted, that I could create that. And I felt like I couldn't, because that, like, God wasn't okay with that, or that I couldn't control what my spouse did or whatever, that I could create something different. So that was the first thing, realizing I had a choice. Then the next was, okay, now that I know that I can create something different, what do I want to create instead? So kind of catching the vision of the way I would like it to be instead. So if I can create something completely different, what would it be? And then when I did that, I realized, okay, I don't have the energy for that, because I envisioned, more of an active lifestyle and travel and, different things. And I was I was overweight and didn't have the energy for squat. So I decided to start working out. And I was so depleted that I had to take vitamins first. So I went and got some vitamins. Then I just started walking a few days. I'd walk to my mailbox, which was a half-mile drive. And then I started going to the gym. And I just kept doing it, just step by step, just kept doing that with the vision in mind of what I wanted in the end. And to have that energy and to have the good relationship that I wanted. And the next step would have been, let me think. The next one would have been, well, the next one was growing a spine, I think. I had to set boundaries was the next thing, like on how I was treated. So I had the energy and I was feeling good in myself, about myself. And then I had to set these boundaries that this is unacceptable behavior. This has got to change. And I did that. And then stuff did start to change. I started communicating more what I wanted. And not just kind of taking it, not just sucking it up, but verbalizing my boundaries. And then, well, for me, I mean, I don't think everybody would get out of a relationship that they're in. It may be that relationship would adapt and they would stay in it, because I know women who have been able to work things out. So I don't know that it's always about that. But let me stop this screen share. I don't know if my video is working anymore. There we go. That should be better. Okay. So then I had to let go of the past thing. And the rest was really about clarity, kind of putting myself out there, stepping outside my comfort zone, getting clarity, interacting with people. I had to go into dating and all of that. So I had to, as I did that, I was like keeping notes on what I like, what I don't like, what works for me and what doesn't. Setting boundaries with men was a big part of that. and not just trying to please them, but to be true to myself and have integrity no matter what. And then I guess the last is just like kind of release it to God, just surrender to God that he knows what's best and have him bring to me what he feels is best. So I guess that would be mine in a nutshell. Have I still got you or did I lose you?
I am here. I am having coughing problems.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
So I'm listening. But that does seem to be what I know of your journey.
Yeah.
So you got it very succinctly.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe other elements along the way, but if you could talk to some other women who've, really transformed or something and ask them what they went through, you might start to pick up similar patterns.
Well, the challenge is getting people to talk freely. So it's important to have established that relationship, the connection that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I've got a chapter in a book that's coming out, I think February 6th. It's called Splintered Hearts, and it's about betrayal. So the chapter that I wrote was about what it feels like for Catherine to be betrayed, and gives one episode that leads to decisions. Now, you use the term adapt here, so my terminology would be stay or leave. But I do think adapting is what you need to do if you're going to stay, without being a doormat. But my point here is that when this book comes out, I think there are about 16 women, and I'm in there as reporting as someone who's the founder of Women of Value, and this is what one of the women have given me permission to share. So I'm hoping that by doing it this way, it will open the doors for people to get in touch with me. And if I have these questions, or how to follow up with them, if they say, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I went through, and this is my issue, the pornography in our relationship. Whether this is Esther, such a time as this, open that door in that way. So I need to be purposeful and I think build, because I think this is the open door I've been waiting for all these years. I hope you can have some ideas.
I wonder if you could interview some of those ladies in that No Porn Club about this, like their journey. What were the steps of their journey? Because they're already vocal about it, like Jennifer. Or she might be able to point you to some other people that would do it. And it could just be that you record them for your own personal research, or you could use it like a virtual summit type thing, where these women talk about the steps that they went through, and then you start to see the patterns from that.
How would we work that?
Huh?
How would we work that? Just have a 1 day or 1 hour summit, or?
Well, it could just be, let's say that you find 4 of these women who will let you, that are willing to talk about their story.
Mm-hmm.
You could just do like a little 4-day summit, once they're recorded, release them over 4 days and let them be a series that people can subscribe to after that. That would be your giveaway, that you've got these. It doesn't even have to be called a summit. It could just be 4 women who got, dealt with this situation. Some of them might stay in, some of them may get out, or, and then you could dissect the patterns and then talk to the, you could have an upsell on the end to work with you on breaking through the situation,
Mm-hmm.
Another element in that, for me, I was thinking another important step was realizing that all the things in him that were bothering me existed in me. Regina talks about the mirror. People are like mirroring back to you your own stuff. So like, where was he lazy? I mean, I felt like he was lazy. Okay, where was I being lazy?
Mm-hmm.
Or I felt like he was being deceptive. Where was I being deceptive? All of everything in him, I was doing the same thing.
So is that a fair evaluation on your part?
A fair evaluation?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a fair evaluation. I don't think I was, it might not have existed to the magnitude that it was in him, but to some degree, everything in there I was doing on some level. So I had to that was one of, like, the final step before I was able to get the divorce and break away from it, was to realize that I was doing some of the same things on some level. And forgiveness is somewhere along in there too. And that came with time. I mean, that comes in bits and pieces. I do feel like I'm in a place of forgiveness now. Probably, I don't know if it's 100% complete, but it's in the 90-something% complete,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I have any great animosity there. It made me who I am. I like who I am. I don't feel like he ruined my life or something like that. So.
Well, you're talking about looking at everything that he was doing and seeing what it was that you were also doing. I stop myself frequently and say, well, I do those same things, or am I doing those same things? And then that puts me back in a doormat. Because rather than being able to separate it out, it's like it puts judgment back on me that makes it unfair. I mean, if let's say the lazy incident you used, if I'm being lazy and I'm accusing him of being lazy, then it's like, well, then I don't have a case.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could see where, I think the difference was, because I did do that in a way that always put the blame back on me for a long time. I would always go self-examine where I had caused whatever it was. I was owning way more of it than I should have been. But I think the difference in why it worked for me at that point was I had already decided I was done. I had drawn the line. I had my boundaries set, and I knew I was out. And I wasn't going to go back. So maybe you have to do that with healthy boundaries in place. And if your healthy boundaries aren't there, where you're going to say, yes, I see where I'm doing this too. I'm going to own my part, but this is still unacceptable behavior. I'm still not going to put up with this anymore. Just because you're doing the same thing on some small level does not mean that you need to stay in something that's, I don't know. So I guess you'd want to be careful with that one, because you make a good point. Because I did spend a lot of time. The pattern with us was he would do something that was unacceptable, I would finally get up the nerve to confront him about it, and he would shift the blame off onto me, like, well, I do that because you do this and you do that and you do that. And so then I would own all of that, and I'd go off and work on myself. And of course, okay, he gets to keep
one-sided.
yeah, he gets to keep doing what he's doing, and I go work on myself for 6 months until his stuff starts causing problem again. And then, and then he throws up something to me I did back in, my oldest kids were little, 20 years earlier, So
Right.
they say women hang on to things. I think he and I had our roles reversed. I was probably the man and he was the woman. But he could remember everything I ever did wrong. I have to go work on it. I cleaned myself up really, really well. Until you're finally like, okay, I think I've pretty much covered all this stuff. So, you got to own something here. Yeah.
You're right about making a decision. I think that in every aspect of life, once you make a decision that you're going to do,
yeah,
X, Y, Z, everything else, I don't know, gels with it or meshes with it or validates, and you're not going to be thrown off course. You're not going to go back into this. Is it me? Is it all me?
Right. Yeah. So that decision.
Different set of eyes or something again.
Yeah.
So maybe we could just make a list of questions to ask these women. And I have not met the people in the No Porn Club. I have only been involved with Quickened. And my gosh, I mean, she's got something like 67,000 views on her little FB Live, Facebook Live, or whatever she does. And I just need really to kind of look at what it is that she does. I think she's got her fingers in a lot of different pies, but they all kind of go together. And this I love my body is something that at Women of Value, I would need someone else to handle that topic. I think that's important. And you're talking about being overweight, and you showed us the before and after pictures. I feel unqualified to help somebody work through that, like the girl who said, I don't think you should call it woman in the mirror, because she said, I hate to look at myself in the mirror. Well, I don't know where to go with that.
Yeah. With Jennifer, though, she's not really big on weight. It's not about the weight. She says some of her women actually gain weight. It's about loving your body as it is, is what her stuff is. She's, I keep thinking, because I'm working with her and I'm working with you. So she's wanting facilitators for her values work that she does. And with you being the Women of Value, I think you might make a really good facilitator for her values program. She's been taking me through that. And I don't know if that's what she's looking for the facilitators for, or for the I Love My Body diet. But the I Love My Body diet takes them through the values too. It's more of a group setting. Because her goal is to take, 10 million women through this. And she wants all this team of facilitators to help take people through. I keep wondering if it might be something that would be a fit for you when she gets to that point. But it has a really good structure to the way she does the values work, if that's what it is. But
I'd like to know more about the values, because you and I have talked about values since we first met, like 5 years ago. And so I'm curious as to what is different about what she's bringing out in you with values than what you and I already know about you and you know about me. So there's got to be another level here that is meaningful to you.
Yeah, it's like every week she'll send me like 3 or 4 of these PDFs. So there'll be one thing we just read over together about distinctions and different things like that. And then she'll have like a homework piece. But the bottom line is I came up with 3 goals that I wanted to have happen in working with her or make strides toward or whatever. And then I assigned values to those 3 things, like why I want those. What value would that bring up for me if I had those? So like my values are freedom and connection and responsiveness are the main 3 ones I have. But then each week I'll set sub goals that, each one of those areas has a sub goal that I set for the week. And then whatever value is that fits with that little sub goal. And it could be, she has a sheet of values, so it may not be my freedom connection. And a lot of times it's not, it'll be something completely different. Like, let's see, my last 3 that I worked on were, let me get it. Hold on a second. Too many notifications I put it on my screen on my phone. Amusement, organization, and feeling good. So those, you just kind of put them into your mind for the week that these are the 3 things that you want to manifest. You want to live in those 3 values for the week. And you have 3 goals, one of them for the amusement, one for the organization, one was for feeling good, So you just do that every week. So you're moving towards your big goals and everything is around the values. And I've had some really interesting things happen. Like one of my goals was to improve the relationship with my 18-year-old boy. He's just really quiet. He's not a big talker. He doesn't talk, especially adults. He just doesn't really talk to them. And I kind of felt like I didn't really know him, and I wanted to create that connection with him and get to know him better before he leaves home, because he'll be going to college and everything. And so we did this kind of process with it. And as I stepped more into my values of who I want to be, I was more vocal, and I started talking to my kids more, like in the car to and from school. And so we'd have these really good discussions, and this particular boy would, he'd jump in and he would talk about whatever the subject was, because the subjects were provocative subjects, like something that was, I'd ask him a question. I don't even remember what it was. I'm trying to think of some of the questions we had off the top of my head, but well, one of them was like, if your neighbor's house is burning down and you do nothing, are you contributing to the fact that their house burned down?
Ooh.
And my one boy says, yes, because this is my younger boy. He's like, yeah, because you should have done something. And the other one said, no, it would have burned down anyway. And I'm like, well, it's really a crime not to do anything, He's like, well, still, yeah, it may be a crime, but you didn't cause it. You didn't make it happen, And so he likes to take the opposing view of whatever my younger boy says. And my younger boy is he'll just tell you what he thinks. He's, he's easy to engage in a discussion. So when he takes a point of view, the older one will take the opposing one and argue for that. But it's gotten us having these conversations, is what I'm saying. So I understand a lot more about what makes him tick. He's a truth service. So he's very, when he does speak, it's very opinionated. So anyway, I've gotten to know him. But the interesting thing is my oldest daughter had kind of gotten where she wasn't paying attention to me at all, wouldn't talk to me. She unfriended me on Facebook. She wouldn't have anything to do with me. So, as I started going through Jennifer's stuff, she ended up reaching out to me and saying, you want to go to lunch? I went to lunch, had a good lunch with her, helped her move. The day I helped her move, she was just all nicer than she's ever been to me. And ever since, she's just been nice and amicable and everything. And I do not know what I did. I really don't. But I think it's I think it's this stepping into your value stuff that just brings. Jennifer says she sees it happen all the time. The more somebody steps into their own values, their children, their family dynamic completely transforms. So, I don't know. It's so hard to get hold of the specifics. I just know as I'm doing it, I'm getting the results that I want. So
you've had these values all along. It's just now that you are paying attention to them and applying them in a looser, healthier, this is who I am way, rather than trying to worry about how they're going to react.
Right. I guess that's it. I just.
Like, if you don't like it, that's okay. I'm not going to kiss your feet, and I'm not going to bribe you, and I'm just going to wait for you to accept me the way I am. Is that kind of what's happening, you think, or not?
Yeah, possibly. And I think it gives them permission to be like with my boys and those discussions. It's okay if they don't agree. I mean, it's okay if they don't agree with my opinion on it. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting, So you'd have to, there's a whole backstory on that. Like with my ex, if he, like if that one boy even said these potatoes don't taste like they did the last time, he would be like, don't say that, you're going to hurt your mother's feelings, or, he couldn't verbalize an opinion. As a truth, that's really hard, I think. So I wondered if that wasn't what was making him withdraw even more, is it was a landmine. He didn't know what, because he has no sense of emotions, as a true service. So he wouldn't, his dad would always say, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. Don't say that. Don't say this. You're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And so for this kid, he's just like, I don't know what's going to hurt people's feelings. I'm just not going to say anything, Right. So between, open up these conversations about subjects that are opinions, that maybe there's no real right or wrong answer, but let's just discuss it kind of thing, has allowed him to speak up. And then, well, Chris is very verbal. He just says anything. And so I think, my boy just kind of listens to Chris and just sits there kind of amused, So it's like, if Chris can get away with saying all that stuff, I can say whatever I want, So
yeah, talk about freedom.
Yeah, freedom to express yourself. So.
And it's safe. Wow, that is beautiful. That is beautiful, Marnie.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of that. I guess it made sense. Maybe.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. Yeah.
Anyway. So even if you had, another system like that you used with people where you could guide them through really owning their own values. Because I'm starting to see that what's valuable to some people is not valuable to everyone. We may have some shared values, but for Chris, responsibility and reliability and order are really big, high values for him. Like he gets a bill, he wants to pay it immediately. He's just on top of it, everything. Where I'm like, I'll pay it when I got the money for it. So, and I'm bad. I need to be working on it. But, anyway, it's just different. Everybody's got different values that mean something to them. And usually if somebody's bugging me, it's because it triggered a value that's not showing up. So that's another thing she has me doing, is paying attention when I'm feeling in my body that something's off, which I didn't do for years because I totally tuned out emotionally to keep from getting hurt. So this is more, okay, pay attention when you're feeling like something's off. Okay, what value do you think is being triggered? What value do you want to step into what would make you feel better? It's sort of like, which of these values would be the answer to this feeling? So anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, with Chris, you're not looking for an out. It's not a
No.
smooth situation. That's got to take a whole lot of pressure off.
Oh yeah.
Talk about freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So a night and day.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that's helpful to you.
I feel that too. So I hope Mackenzie will join the revolution of freedom within her own home. Yeah, and feel it.
Yeah, she seems to be doing pretty well. She stayed with us a little bit over Christmas, but now she's out and she's got a roommate or living somewhere else with somebody else now. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else I can say or do for you?
Oh, this was wonderful. Thank you very much. And then tomorrow you're starting the product creation?
Yeah. It's at, do you know the times on that? Let me see. I think it's 10:30 Eastern. I'll double check.
Yeah, it was 10:30 to 11:30 for an hour, and then in the afternoon was the group.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So, all right. Well, I'll let you go and have a good one. I'll talk to you tomorrow, I guess.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.